Welcome back to the Hugh Hewitt Show. This is Ed Morrissey from HotAir.com. Joining me now, a friend of mine from the blogosphere for quite a long time, an editor at Breitbart News, and now a candidate for Congress, Mike Flynn. Welcome to the show. Great to talk to you again.
Hey, thanks a lot, Ed. Glad to be on.
Yeah, we've hung out at the same events. We've even managed to hang out at a couple of the same new media parties, and I didn't realize that you were getting interested in jumping into electoral politics. But there is definitely a need in Central Illinois with the resignation of Aaron Schock.
Yeah, no, and Ed, I mean, before Schock's resignation, I never considered running for office until his resignation in my home. My family's been in Central Illinois since 1870. And I saw that even though this is one of the most conservative districts in the country, the party establishment was just putting up the son of Obama Transportation Secretary Ray LaHood and just another kind of get-along Republican. I've just grown very disenchanted with the party establishment and thought, well, this is the time I put away my laptop and get into the ring and give voters a real choice here.
And this is a pretty good district for Republicans anyway, so it's a good opportunity here to have a really good debate over what type of Republican Party that there's going to be. And you mentioned that Ray LaHood's son is going to be the other person who is running in this. This is the interim. This is to fill out the rest of Aaron Schock's term. And
right.
The 18th Congressional District is R+11 in the Cook Report. So pretty good chance that whoever is going to come out of this will be in Congress.
Yeah, no, that's right. I mean, Romney actually won this district by 25 points in 2012. So if there's ever a district where we can send a full-throated, full-throttled conservative, it's this district. And that's where I think, a lot of the grassroots see that opportunity rather than just another establishment Republican that'll just go along with whatever House leadership says. We can send a real conservative voice this time.
And we can go over to MikeFlynnForCongress.com, by the way, to find his website. I just have to ask you one question before we get into any issues, Mike. People have been asking me for over 10 years when you're going to run for public office, and I always tell them the same thing, Mike, is that if I had ever wanted to run for public office, I would not have spent the last 11 years putting every single political thought that ran through my head onto a web page so that my opponents could just use it to just shred me in an election fight. So I'm just curious. Your constituents here are going to have a very good idea of who you are by what you've written, and you've been prolific on the internet. You must be pretty confident about that.
No, it's very true. I mean, I've probably, in the last few years, written 2 or 3 million words on politics and policy. One thing I tell voters, and it really resonates with them, is, you know exactly where I stand on every issue, and you may not agree with me on every issue, but I'm not just going to give you some, talk you want to hear. You'll know where I stand, and you'll know what my thinking is on that stand, and I'm always open to new experience, new information, new perspectives, but you're not going to have to guess what my positions are. And that really seems to resonate with voters. I mean, they feel increasingly they're out of touch, and the politicians are out of touch. And at least in my candidacy, they know exactly what I think and what I believe.
Well, that's always helpful because a lot of times you don't get that from politicians. They come to elections, and sometimes they're pretty much a cipher. They spend a lot of their time not taking positions. They usually... Parties are out looking for people who are sort of the blank slate on which you can project darn near anything. So it will be, I think, at least a refreshing choice for the people in Illinois' 18th Congressional District to talk to somebody who's got a firm record and one that he stands behind.
Yeah, no, I think that's true. We've tried it the regular way with the ciphers and the people that won't take a position for the last several decades. It doesn't seem to be working out very well for us.
So what are
I think? Go ahead.
I'm sorry. I was going to ask you what are the main policy differences between you and your primary opponent?
Well, I mean one key difference is what are you going to do? Are you going to stand up? Are you going to be a leader for these values? Or are you just going to become an echo for the party leadership, party establishment? I think there is a very clear difference in that my opponent has taken money from the Republican Main Street Project, which is a union-backed group whose mission is to defeat conservatives in primaries. So I think it's really a question of what your focus will be in Washington. He's a career politician. He's been appointed to every office he's held. He's never won a contested election. And this is not a career. I make it very clear that I'm only going to serve for 8 years because after that I would qualify for a congressional pension, and that's the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard. So that is the real difference, is that, my opponent, this is a career, this is his vocation, this is his life's goal and mission is to be in Congress. Mine is just to go and do my service and contribute what I can and then leave and pass the baton to somebody else. And that's a very big difference.
So what are your positions on, say, immigration?
We got to seal the border, and not at the same time, not while we talk about the immigration system. Seal the border first, and then we can talk about what we need to do to reform the system. The system is only, is a terrible system. It's only have been created by the federal government. But first, you can't treat a wound until you stop the bleeding. We have to stop the bleeding first. Defund amnesty. It's already been found unconstitutional, so you don't fund unconstitutional things. Seal the border, and then we can talk.
How about what's the number one thing that Congress can do to create jobs, or at least provide an environment where jobs can be created quickly?
Well, reform the tax code and roll back regulation. You've got to do that. It's interesting. Canada has this new thing where they have a regulatory budget. So they issue a new regulation, they have to repeal an existing regulation. We need to start doing things like that here because the regulation and taxes are stifling business creation. We're going to 1% and 2% growth a year. We should be at 4 or 5% growth a year if we have any hope to get out of the fiscal challenges we face.
Mike, we're almost out of time. MikeFlynnForCongress.com, and you're having a money bomb this weekend, right?
Yes, we are. We're trying to, my opponent has the full backing of House Republican leadership and all the usual characters in the establishment. And so we are making this is a grassroots campaign, and we're doing this for the final 2 weeks of the election. The election is July 7th, just 3 days after the 4th of July.
There you go. Mike Flynn for Congress. Thank you very much, MikeFlynnForCongress.com. I'm Ed Morrissey. We'll be right back.